afternoon, and welcome to The Lyric Professors. I am Professor A, and I have hair today. Joining me, as ever, as above, so below, is Professor Dogger. There she is. Now my camera's actually doing what it's meant to do and focusing. And on the other side of the world, as ever, we're joined by Professor J. How are things on t'other side of 12, Professor J?
Other side of the world, summer is over, and it's rainy, woo-woo. Never really came. So I'm at a different location today, my long-haired professor.
Are you?
Did you notice? Well, I've moved maybe a meter.
Right. I thought it
so
looked
that I can
similar.
do this.
Yes. That's good. We have live guitar. The second time ever. We did briefly have some live.
Say it anyway. Today's another day to find you. I mean, we are doing an absolute banger today, right?
Yeah, this is a video episode. Not that it makes much difference to what we do. Yes, this is Professor J's choice. I think he's already introduced it, really, and there is, of course, a big picture and a title on the screen. But anyway, why don't you introduce it?
Yeah, so we are doing probably the best video ever. Like usual, this one is definitely the best video ever made, and it is a-ha's "Take on Me." Are you aware of this song, Professor A?
I have heard it a time or two. It is. It has just under 2 billion hits on the YouTube.
Wow.
Which is a few more than we get per episode. Just. I think it even has more hits than the song which ripped it off. But we'll get into that later, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, this was one of those. When I was young, this was one of those videos that was really different to everything else.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Revolutionary. Indeed. We've already done Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer, which again was very different. And this was one of those other standout songs. I mean, it helps that it was a great video and a banger of a tune as well. Although, interestingly, are you aware of the first release of this song, Professor A?
I know it was originally called something else and recorded by a different band, which was a subset of two of the three members of a-ha. So I wasn't aware it was released. I know there are two videos for it.
Yeah, so basically, it was there was the original version, which was by the previous incarnation of the band, which was called Bridges, and it was called something else.
Miss Eerie, it was called.
That's the one. But this became successful in 1985, but that was actually its second release.
Right.
So it was originally released in 1984 with a slightly different version, not as well produced, and with a very, very different video, which is out there and is also on the documentary. Have you seen the a-ha Take on Me documentary?
I have not.
There's a documentary on YouTube talking about everything about it. So it was just a very classic three guys on the stage, sort of sexy top, like 80s, just blue background with a girl dancing behind. It was a pretty bad video. But it's interesting because it was essentially the same song, and it got nowhere until they remastered. They re-recorded it. It was more of a remastering than a re-record. Remixing, and then they did this banger video, and I think that's what made the difference.
The technique in the video, I believe, is called rotor-scoping.
It is indeed called rotor-scoping. Should we talk about the video?
Okay.
So what I remember of it as a kid is this kind of mix, as you said, the rotor-scoping between there's a girl who's reading a black and white comic, cartoon magazine in a cafe. And then at some point, the person that she's reading about sort of comes out of the magazine and drags her in, and there's this whole story. So there's this real interspersion between the drawn piece and the acted piece, and that's the process of rotor-scoping, where you take an image and then you kind of draw over the top of it on glass, and it's a nice mix of these two pieces, which I think was really, really different at the time. It probably would still be pretty different now.
Yeah, it would. I should have researched this, obviously, but when did Who Framed Roger Rabbit come out? Which was a similar concept of live actors mixed with cartoon.
Let's find out, shall we?
Okay. I would find out.
1988.
Oh, so they ripped off our home.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have ripped it off, but we'll probably come on to that. What should we do? Should we talk about the plot of the movie?
Okay. Movie? Wow. Okay. We could talk about the technicals. I mean, 3,000 frames for rotoscopes, and it took 16 weeks to complete it.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty wild, huh?
Isn't it?
Took a long old time. And it's basically they recorded the film and someone was just literally hand drawing it over the top of the film onto glass, frame by frame. So presumably it's 24 frames 24 frames a second. So if this is like a 4-minute video, that's a lot of frames to hand draw.
But a lot less frames than would be now, though.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, well, let's go into the script. So, I mean, it actually starts. I didn't remember it being so long. The beginning bit. So it actually starts with this this black and white comic book story, which is a motorbike race with sidecars, in which our hero and the singer of a-ha, Morton Hackett, is pursued by two opponents, Philip Jackson and Alfie Curtis. What do you know about Alfie Curtis?
The name rings a bell. It's obviously been in other things, but
well, he particularly was. He says finding it. He says not finding it. He was in a number of television and film roles, but he was best known for playing Dr. Evazan in Star Wars.
Oh, right.
So he's,
I can't actually place Dr. Evazan.
Okay. Somebody bothering Luke in the cantina scene. Oh, right. So not a big role, but that's what he was known for. He wasn't in a great deal of things. So yeah, so he's been chased by these two guys, and again, we're still in the cartoon bit here. And then it's sort of, and he's been sort of very aggressively chased. It looks quite nasty. We keep seeing the number 13 on one of the helmets. Ooh, bad numbers.
Triskaidekaphobia.
Sorry?
Triskaidekaphobia. Fear of the number 13.
Very good. Then we sort of pull back and we see that there's a lady in the cafe that's reading this comic book. Do you know who this lady is?
She's a wonderfully named Bunty Bailey.
She is indeed the wonderfully named Bunty Bailey. I mean, that is that's an amazing name, isn't it?
It's something from the 20s, isn't
it? Yeah, it is. Do you know much about her?
No, I don't know anything about her.
Well, she started her career as a dancer in the group Hot Gossip.
Oh, right.
In the early 80s. And then she became known as the girl in the music videos of a-ha single Take On Me and The Sun Always Shines on TV, which we will come to later, I'm sure.
And I have to say, I love that song. That's by far my favourite a-ha songs.
There's some bangers in this time, looking back at it. So, and they dated for a while. They met doing this video and they went out for a bit. She's done a lot of stuff. Can I give you a bit of her filmography?
Oh, lovely. That'd be great.
She's been in The Kenny Everett Show.
Okay.
She's been in Billy Idol videos. She's been in an OMD video.
Cracking. I'm surprised you haven't picked them yet.
Who?
OMD.
Well, I was never into OMD, but
I thought you were.
my friends are into OMD.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's Bunty Bailey. So we see Bunty Bailey. She's reading this this comic book. She can the waitress, this sort of angry looking waitress in the cafe, brings her some coffee and the bill. And then the hero in the comic book winks at the woman after winning the race, and suddenly his hand comes out of the magazine, and kind of pulls him inside the magazine,
Yes.
which is pretty wild. And then there's this whole thing where we have this kind of you have one of them who's drawn and then the other one who's drawn. So as she goes in, she looks like a cartoon and he looks real, should we say.
Or the 80s version of real.
And there's this whole bit with a mirror. I guess it's a mirror or a pane of glass where you can see on one side one of them is drawn and the other one's real. So so she goes into this world, and then back in the cafe, the waitress comes back and finds that the woman's gone missing. And presumably she's done a runner, having not paid the bill. So she picks up the magazine comic and angrily throws it into the bin.
Done a dine and dash.
Dine and dash. It's
Well,
topical.
a headmaster at my senior school was removed from his position for doing dine and dashes in London.
Really? Was he a serial dine and dash?
He was.
Wow, crazy. Yeah. So then this kind of crumpling of the magazine sort of sets in chain this chase scene. The people who are racing previously, they reappear as villains. One of them with a large pipe wrench. They smash the looking glass, and the woman gets trapped in the comic book. Then there's a whole load of fighting. They arrive at a dead end. They tear a hole in the paper wall, and the woman, escapes.
Yes.
There's a whole fight, and then she kind of wakes up, and she's in the bin. She's kind of dirty and in the bin. A little bit confusing. She gets the comic from the bin, and she runs home. And she's sort of there trying to sort of smooth out the creases of a poor cartoon that's sort of been ruined.
Probably covered in used tea bags.
Or coffee ground.
Yes.
Then we see the hero lying a bit lifeless, and she begins to cry. Then he wakes up and tries to break out of the comic book frames. And then he kind of appears in the hallway behind her bedroom. And then there's this sort of painful scene to watch as he's sort of trying to break out and sort of half being cartoon, half being real. And then finally, he gets out, and she runs toward him, and they embrace. And that is it. That is the extent of the bit.
For now, yes.
For now, indeed. There will be more. So that's it. So, I mean, the story's all right. But for me, what was most attractive at the time was this sort of juxtaposition between the black and white cartoon drawing and the real life drawing, which I think was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So should we talk about Aha, the band?
Oh yes, let's.
Okay. So they are Paul Wakhtar Savoy.
There's a name.
Magna Furuholmen, and Morton Hackett. And they peaked early, right? So their first album, Hunting High and Low, in 1985, was an absolute banger. number 1 in their native Norway, number 2 in the UK, number 15 in the US, which is pretty good at those days. And it had a load of banging singles. Take On Me, which we're talking about today. The Sun Always Shines on TV, which we will go on to talk about later.
The title track.
The title track. They did also Hunting High and Low.
Which is the title track.
Yep. And the one that I really like, which we may come onto at one bit, which was in a James Bond film, the Living Daylights.
That wasn't on this album.
No, this was, sorry, I'm talking about the rest of their albums. And really, after because I think that was 1990, the Living Daylights, and in 1994, their 5th studio album just really didn't get anywhere, so they kind of went on hiatus.
Yeah. They were the first Norwegian band to have a number 1 single in America, which was this one.
Wow.
And amazingly, it didn't get to number 1 here in the UK. It was number 2.
Yeah.
So, which was a bit strange. And they were they're continuing their popularity in the US. They were asked to appear on the television series Soul Train in 1985, making them one of very few white artists who were ever passed on to
really?
that. Only Gino Vanelli, whoever he might be, Elton John, David Bowie.
Gino Vanelli, the ice cream.
Yeah, probably. So Elton John, David Bowie, Hall & Oates, Sheena Easton, Pet Shop Boys, Michael McDonald, and Tina Marie are the only other ones that have been asked to say.
Wow. There we go. So they're Norwegian. They formed in 1982, and they left Norway and just moved to London to make a career in music. When that's all it took in those days. You just turned up to London, played a few. I mean, it wasn't easy for them. I think they went back one time when it wasn't working, and came back. Do you know how they got the name Aha?
Yeah, they just found it as it was the name of a song. One of them had written.
And Morton says it was a terrible song, but a great name.
Yeah. I don't know how that works when they were playing live. I mean, now I guess when they were successful, they had lots of backing musicians or whatever. But surely when they started, it was just the 3 of them, and all they do is keyboards, guitars, and vocals between the 3 of them.
Yes, but they were programming a lot, right? So, so looking back at this, and also this, I mean, the sound is very classic 80s sound, and it's clear that the drumming is a Linn drum. So the drums were all programmed on a Linn drum. They're very famous 80s drum machine, one of the first ones with that very classic 80s sound.
Every track on the first Waterboys album was Linn.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the first. And then the one synth was the Yamaha DX7.
Classic.
Again, another classic. I forget what the other ones were, but they were programming them, right? So the drums were all programmed. Right. They had synth pieces, and then they were playing live synth over the top. But a lot of it was heavily programmed. So I'm sure they could do good. I mean, it's a bit like who sang Sheriff Fatman?
Carter, the Unstoppable Sex Machine.
I mean, I think we've spoken about them briefly before, but they were a two-piece with a big old drum machine, and essentially the Sisters of Mercy were little more than that, were they? They were. They had Dr. Avalanche, right?
Avalanche, yeah. Yeah, I've seen Carter. They were really quite good for 2 people. You'd think they wouldn't get that much done, but yes.
Yeah. No, but again, so they did. So yeah. What else to say about it? Oh, let's talk about who made the video. Do you know who made the video?
Should do, shouldn't I? I know who commissioned it, which was or who came up with the idea, which was the executive from Warner Brothers. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I mean, there's a funny story about how they got that person. They chose the studio. They chose who was going to produce them, which was
yes,
John Ratcliffe, who was their musician, producer, and manager. And they chose him because his studio had a Space Invaders machine.
Yes, living the life, these lads.
Exactly. They've not seen one out in Norway.
No, probably not. Be walrus invaders or something. Yeah. But no, I don't know who did the video, because that would require me to scroll down about 40 pages, isn't it?
Okay, well, it's done by Steve Barron, who is an Irish filmmaker and director. Do you want to hear his list of music videos?
Oh, yes, please.
He has done Billie Jean by the Michaels Jackson, Bryan Adams' Summer of '69 and Run to You, Dire Straits' Money for Nothing.
Now, that was another one which combined live action and cartoony things, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
It does, I'm pretty sure.
Can't remember. Electric Avenue, Eddie Grant.
Tune.
Going Underground by The Jam.
Nice.
Don't You Want Me by The Human League. Baby Jane by Rod Stewart.
Oh,
Africa by Toto. I mean, that is a heck of a filmography, right?
Yeah.
In terms of music videos. He has also directed many films, including the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 93's Coneheads, and 1996 Adventures of Pinocchio.
Excellent.
In '84, and this is kind of what got him into music videos, he directed the science fiction comedy Electric Dreams.
Oh, Giorgio Moroder did the
whole
theme to that.
thing.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, he's also done some other stuff that's not quite the same, like Mike Bassett, England manager.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was him. It was filmed at Kim's Caf, now called the Turkish Chef Mediterranean Restaurant.
It's a mouthful.
It is at the corner of Wandsworth Road and Pensbury Place, London, SW8. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing I find fascinating about it is the fact that it's such a banger. It was so successful, and yet it was released almost exactly the same, slightly worse recording with a really crappy video, and it got no uptake at all. I think that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good enough just to do a good song, is it? Always.
No, absolutely not. Would you like to go for some lyrics?
We could do. I just think we should, before we mention that, we should say that these guys, all three of them, are sirs. They were appointed Knights of the First Class of the Royal Norwegian Order of St. Olav for their contribution to Norwegian music in 2012. So you should be saying sir in front of each of their names.
And they use sir in Norway, do they?
I don't know. They might use SER like in Game of Thrones. I have no idea.
Wow. Okay. Three sirs, three sires. Okay, I'm doing words. And they're awful.
They're literal translations from Norwegian, more than awful. But we'll get into that.
We're talking away. I don't know what I'm to say. I'll say it anyway. Today's another day to find you.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised that when I read these lyrics that I'd never heard them.
Yeah. Well, I had heard some of them wrong. I know that.
Yeah.
We'll get to when I'll mention it when we get to those ones. It sounds a bit stalky to me, this lyrics.
I mean, when I first started watching the video, have I got a video? I thought, oh my god, this is a bit creepy. She looks like a young girl, and this looks like a music star. And then I checked the ages, and I was relieved. She was 20 or 21 when this was filmed. But at first, I was a bit, ugh. It hasn't aged.
It's the lyrics, doesn't it? Today is another day to find you.
Yes. And then the next line is,
I'll be coming for your love, okay? Oh, you haven't done that one.
I've done one. Shying away, I'll be coming for your love, okay?
Is that okay with you if I stalk you?
Yeah, so she's being shy, but he's coming for you anyway.
Good old rock and roll lyrics.
And then take on me, take on me, take on me, take on me.
Yeah, now this is where I'm talking about the literal translation. This is all thanks to some guy on Genius who's got hundreds of upvotes for this comment. But he says it's literally translated the Tarper, I don't know how to pronounce Norwegian, but something like Tarper Meg is the literal translation to take on me.
Right.
But what it means in Norwegian is touch me.
Ooh.
So it should be touch me. And then when he inverts it to take me on, which is tar meg par, that in Norwegian is an idiom meaning put me on, as in clothing, put on some clothing.
Touch me, put clothes on me.
Touch me, wear me like an item of clothing.
Oh my God.
Yes, quite.
Take on me, take me on. Touch me, put clothes on me. Wear me.
Yeah,
Wear me like a
wear me like a skin suit. Yeah, I'm not sure it's a nice song at all, to be honest. I think it's about a serial killer. But I think most things are about it could be vampires, of course.
Definitely vampire and serial killers. Woo yeah, baby.
And there's probably some drugs in there too.
Okay. More words. I'll be gone in a day or two.
Yeah, why? Why will he be going in a day or two?
I
He's just one of those rambling men who's moving on. Love them and leave them.
Well, maybe he's like, I'm coming for you, okay? But I'm only going to be here for a day or two. So if you say no, I'm buggering off.
Yeah.
Okay. So needless to say, I'm odds and ends, but I'll be stumbling away, slowly learning that life is okay.
You could finish the verse, It'd be so much easier than
No, but
leaving.
there's a gap. There's this kind of stay after me. It's no better to be safe than sorry.
And this is the bit I always misheard, because I always thought it was say after me, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, I did
missed
too,
the no.
which is better.
Yes.
Better. It's not no better. It's better because it's no better to be safe than sorry. Is like saying forgiveness is easier to get than permission.
I think that's kind of what he's saying, to be honest.
Exactly.
He's saying that not taking a risk does not guarantee a more positive outcome. So basically, if you fancy her, tell her.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He's saying.
Yeah.
But I don't understand. I'm odds and ends. I'll be stumbling away, learning life's okay. So he's expecting not to get a good reaction, presumably.
Yeah. Slowly learning that life is okay. It's going to be all right.
It's not, though, is it? Life's rubbish. Modern life is rubbish, as a certain band once said.
In the 90s.
In the 90s. Yes.
Okay, take on me, take on me, take me on, take on me. I'll be gone in a day or two. All the things that you say, yeah, is it life or just to play my worries away? You're all the things I've got to remember. You're shying away. I'll be coming for you anyway.
I don't understand. Just to play my. It's very badly phrased. Is it life or just to play my worries away? That's one line, I guess. But it has to be because there's no verb in the second line if it's on its own. You're all the things I've got to remember. Well, what? Huh? He's trying to start a relationship with her. He's not remembering a relationship. I'm very confused.
And then take on me, take me on. I'll be gone in a day. That's it.
Would you like a quote from Sir Magni Furra-Holman?
Please, quote me up.
This is what he said to Rolling Stone magazine. I don't know when. I don't know if it was contemporary or whatever. Anyway, he says, to me, it still sounds fresh on the radio. It started out being called Lesson 1. Then we renamed the song All's Well That Ends Well and Moves with the Sun. A very catchy short title. I have no doubt that the video made the song a hit. The song has a super catchy riff. It is a song you have to hear a few times. I don't think it would have been given the time of day without the enormous impact of the video, which some people might have heard over the guitar, but probably not. Anyway, but
that was loud. Sorry.
That's So he's basically agreeing with you, pointing out that it wouldn't have been, even though it's a great song, it wouldn't have been a hit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great video. I mean, the lyrics are just stalky, weird garbage. And I'd never heard. Interestingly, I'd never heard them or never heard them right. You've got the Take on Me, Take Me On. I like the inversion. Take on Me, Take Me On. Pretty cool. But the rest of it is just ugh.
It is. Of course, they had another murdery song, didn't they, which you recommended to me once. September Leaves, something like that. Sycamore Leaves, Sycamore Trees, Sycamore Leaves.
Yeah.
That's about burying a body under some leaves.
By an ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're not all happy pop songs. They're a bit murdery stalky too. Please don't sue us, sir.
Yes. So everyone, I think they're all right.
Yeah.
Not coming after us.
3 viewers.
So that's the video, and then there's a kind of a postscript in another video. How crazy is that? So
yeah, it's strange in another way, actually, because the single that it continues on is The Sun Always Shines on TV, which we've mentioned, which was the next single everywhere in the world except in Norway. In Norway, they released another single with another video in between this, which I think is a bit strange, which I don't think carries on the story at all. So I can't remember I've just got too many notes. I really need to get that AI working, condensing notes. I really do. But yeah, they released a different one, and then released Sun Always Shines on TV. So anyway, carry on as you were, sir.
Yeah, so Sun Always Shines on TV. It starts with a short sequence, which is essentially an epilogue to the video for Take on Me. So again, rotoscopy. So the two young lovers, Wharton and Bunty, are kind of, they're all good. They're sort of standing under a dark tree at night with some sort of eerie moonlit background. And suddenly, your Morton starts sort of converting back to a cartoon. It kind of reminds me of Back to the Future. As he's sort of fading away, and he sort of has these sort of spasmy type things, a bit like in the original video when he sort of converted when he was in the corridor outside her bedroom.
Incidentally, was an homage to the movie Altered States from 1980.
Oh. And then he kind of reverts back to his state. The young woman, distressed, realizes that he cannot remain in her world. And in pain, he flees the scene into the distance, back to his comic book world she is left behind. And then it's really weird because this is like the first 20, 30 seconds of the music video. The camera sort of pans away. And then you get this sort of really weird, very 80s graphic of it's saying the end, a Warner Brothers first national picture, and then says aha, the aha logo, and you're watching Channel 3. And then the rest of the music video is just playing in a studio. It's not it's not in any way related at all.
Well, they'd obviously done their budget, hadn't they? It's just
maybe that was it. Maybe it was too long to get it into the first one, and there was this bit left over. Or maybe there was such a clamor about what happened after the end that they needed to. A bit like Karate Kid 2, when they had to have a comeuppance for the baddie,
right?
Because the baddie didn't get a comeuppance in Karate Kid 1.
That's no good.
So they started Karate Kid 2 with him, the bad guy, getting a little tweak on the nose by Mr. Miyagi.
I don't remember ever watching that. I've seen the first one. I don't think I've ever seen any of the sequels.
Well, there's lots of them.
yeah. There was a TV show recently, wasn't it? Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai, yeah. I wasn't so keen on that. There's been 2 series. It was really well liked on Netflix or Amazon. I didn't like it. There's been at least 6 Karate Kid movies. There was the one with Hilary Swank.
Yes.
Karate Kid. And then there was the
one... Wouldn't it be better if she was called Bunty Swank? I think that'd be great.
Yes. And there was the one with Will Smith Jr. What's his name? Will Smith's son.
Jaden, is it? Something like that.
Something like that. Which, as a former martial artist myself, I was a bit upset by because it was set in China and they were doing kung fu. They weren't doing karate in Japan, which annoyed me.
It's not the same thing. It's completely different.
Yeah. So yes, plenty to dig into. Six movies, I believe.
Right. Well, I'll get right on that after all the other things I'm watching. Oh,
yeah.
There's a dog had a stretch. That's the most she's
Oh,
contributed so far.
Would you like to have a word count?
I'd love to hear a word count. Hold on. I've got a button for that.
It is time for Professor J's word count.
Would you want to make a guess?
Let's say 140 total with 65 unique.
Oh, you're getting very good at this. So it is 194 in total with a unique of 66.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't have anything else to say about this song.
Well, we've got to do a power score.
Oh, the pound score. Oh my god.
The power score obviously is a lyrical metric. It's nothing to do with the video. So I'm going to give it a 2.
Generous. So what do I like about the lyrics we're talking about?
Yeah, actually, that is generous, isn't it? Let's give it a 1.
I kind of like a little bit. We're talking away. I don't know what time to say. I'll say it anyway. Like that. I like the take on me, take me on. I like the...
Well, it's all right in English.
Well, we're doing it in English.
Except it's not all right in English because take on me doesn't mean anything in English.
Yeah. I mean, what is the song about? What are the words about?
He wants, well, it's to touch me, put me on like an item of clothing.
Ah, the original version, the English version.
That's literally what it means. So that's what they were trying to say. I don't know.
Please go out with me.
Yeah.
Let's
but
get it
also,
on.
take me on is a sort of come and have a fight if you think you're hard enough, which I suppose does go back to the video a bit more than the rest of it does.
That's true. Yeah,
There's nothing. There's no explanation positive for why these two lads with their 13 bike want to beat you up. It's very strange. What's he done?
Yeah. Naughty boys.
Has he been stalking their wives?
Stalking somebody's daughter. Better to be safe than... It's no better to be safe than sorry. I mean, I'm giving this a... I'll give it a half point for take on me, take me on, and nothing more. How about you?
2 was generous, I admit that. I'd say because it's so popular and it's wormed its way into people's heads, even if the lyrics are wrong, have wormed into their heads, I think it should get a 1.
Give it a 1.
Generous. And of course, we haven't mentioned, well, we did in passing, but there have been lots of suggestions that weekend's Blinding Lights, the song we love so much, is a rip-off of this song. Or sounds similar, because they said it's been... Morton Harkett said it sounds similar, and The Weeknd said, yeah, it sounds similar to Aha, but there's no can't you give me lots of your money then, please, Mr. That Weekend?
Does it sound similar?
I don't know, not to me. But everyone thinks it sounds similar.
I don't think it sounds similar.
Let's put Professor Dogger into a coma, whatever it sounds like. Oh no, there she goes.
That was my spooky version.
That was very nice. I like that. You should finish that. We'll record it and stick it on our Wildest Guys channel.
I'll say it anyway. I'm just coming to stalk you.
That's good.
Dying away.
Perhaps we should do sinister, stalky versions of every song we discuss. I could put some squeaky, spooky even keyboards.
yeah, I mean, I like because it's quite up tempo. It's quite fast. It's 169 BPM. My little spooky version, which unfortunately we can't work out how to share it live. Is
we're gonna have to have some technical revolutions before season 3. Put it that way. I have some things to do with the way it looks, and we need to work out how things sound from that point of view as well.
Yes. Spooky. Stalky.
Yes.
Okay. Great song.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Oh, well, the other thing we haven't mentioned, of course,
video, crap lyrics.
the other thing we haven't mentioned is the literal version.
I haven't seen the literal version.
I presume that's why you picked it, because I was talking about literal version. I said you could do another one with a literal version video, and you said, "Oh, we'll do a take on me."
No. Well, tell me about the literal version, because
I can't remember what it says, but it's got one, and I remember laughing uproariously when I watched it. Although I think my favourite is Wuthering Heights by Kate.
Yeah, you sent me the Kate Bush one.
Yeah. Well, I presumed you'd already watched it a whole one because of the way those two comments interspersed.
No,
so we'll get them watch it. Get it watched. Literal videos. Great things there. Very fun.
Right.
So.
Okay. Good. Out.
And we need some likes and some comments and some ringy bells and some murdering of the algorithm. So anyway, yes, hope you enjoyed that, and we will see you soon. Farewell.
Bye-bye.